When I think about what community is, when I think about what the church was for many people, I think about community as a service. I know so many people right now whose passion was media, and if it weren't for their church, they wouldn't be able to pursue that passion. I know so many people whose passion is music, and if it weren't for their church, they wouldn't have a place to practice that passion. I know people whose passion is communication and finding ways to inspire and motivate other people. And if it weren't for their churches, church shouldn't be the only place that meets those needs. It shouldn't be the only place that nurtures our gifts, platforms our voices, and empowers our living. That's why Bridge City Global is building community and creating the space to help you keep rising. Join us October 25th or the 26th in Venice or San Diego, your choice. Our local Bridge City community is having their initial liftoff weekend. And as a way of celebrating, we're hosting our very first Rise event. This is for you. We're about to shed the weight of limiting beliefs and open ourselves to clarity, purpose, and possibility. Through powerful voices and intentional community, you'll not only rediscover your own strength, but also the belonging that comes when we choose to rise side by side. And for those interested in being a part of this global community, go ahead and tap in now, and you may get an invite to our Friday evening and Sunday morning activities while you're in Cali. Don't miss this moment. Add Liftoff Weekend to your calendar and be ready to rise. Register now.
Take another shot at me.
Happy Sunday, everybody. It's so good to see you again. Welcome back. How are you feeling out there? I got to see a little bit of the chat while we were getting started, while I was sitting backstage with our guest. Today is going to be a little more casual, but I have to ask, man, how many of you are excited about Rise? Am I the only person? Is it just me? Or is there anybody out there that is excited, anybody else out there rather, that is excited about Rise, excited about Liftoff Weekend, excited about the fact, like, listen, this is a fact, the fact that we're actually building our first of many, our first Bridge City local community. And already it's just being, it's been absolutely an amazing. Dang it, I'm gonna want to get in my announcements early. I don't want to, but I got to spend time with a few of the SoCal crew yesterday. I told y'all they do these Saturday roundtable sessions, discussions, and so I jumped in yesterday and got to spend some time with them. And man, we had an amazing time. I think we were in there maybe an hour, 10 minutes, man, and had a wonderful discussion. I got to set it up, paint the picture, talk a little bit about the vision. We got to play with the Nebuchadnezzar Starship Enterprise or Disney cruise ship to help people really picture the possibilities. And then we started talking about how community can serve, how community can serve the individuals, how it can serve the people that we love. And we ended up with how community can serve our cities. And one of the things that was really powerful that came out of that to me is that community means always having someone to call. And ultimately that's what we're building. We're building that safe space that no matter what the issue, no matter what the problem, no matter what the opportunity, no matter what the assignment, there's always somebody to call. There is no conditions. There is no baggage. There's no, did you pray first? Are you paying your tithes? Do you worship the particular deity that I worship? There's none of that. If there's something you need, there's somebody to call. And damn it, this isn't in my announcements, but we've also just acquired. I'm making it sound bigger than it is. But y'all hear me making it sound, actually hear me making it sound bigger than it is, right? But we've just acquired a new platform that's going to help us because we have members literally from all over the world, man, from California to Cambodia. We have members who've connected with this vision, with this mission, who are currently disconnected, right? Because we hadn't been able to find a good platform, and now we have, and I can't wait to get it rolled out. All right, so let me kind of jump into this because I'm so excited. We have a guest with us today, man. Over the next few weeks, while I'm preparing for our event in SoCal, and I'm going to ask again, how many of you out there are excited? Like, even if you can't make it, which I'm going to try to reduce as many excuses as you got. Like, if the reason you can't go is because you can't afford the ticket, you need to holler at your boy. But even if you can't make it, how many of you are excited just about the fact that it's happening? That we're literally doing this. We're experimenting with it. We found some people crazy enough to jump to build this bridge with us. Isn't that amazing? Like, to me, that's exciting. All right. So while that takes a lot of work, right? Actually preparing for these events takes a lot of work. And then of course I have to speak in Mississippi. And I see that we have somebody from Starkville in the chat today. But I have to speak in Mississippi on October the 16th. I should have had that graphic here. I don't think I have that graphic here. But I have to speak in Mississippi. And like Sunday sessions alone, like I have to sit down and write out about 15 pages of notes to get this done. So what I'm doing over the next 3 weeks is I'm doing interview style conversations. So I don't have to write. That's just one less college essay off my plate for the week, or actually 3 less for the next 3 weeks. While I write these other essays, because Robert, I don't know if he's in the chat today. Robert is going to have my ass working the whole time I'm in California, which I'm not mad at. I don't, if you ever visit my home in Alabama, which maybe I'll be moved by then. But as soon as you walk in my house, once you walk in the hallway, I guess. But what's now my wife's office, it says, "Do the work, do it right, do the best, do your most." That's my motto. I will work my ass off for the fun of it because it's fun for me. All right, so to do that, but to make this kind of work out for everybody, we're going to be doing these, and I thought this would be an incredible way to start introducing you all to some of the people who are helping make some of this stuff happen. Right, like everything we're doing is a lot of work. Everything that I'm doing is a whole lot of work. So anytime I have people who are doing the smallest things that are helping me out, I'm always over the top excited. And so today we're going to get to talk to somebody who's become an actual real good friend of mine. And so let me give you these announcements, and then we're going to jump in this conversation. I already gave you the first one, which was the roundtable highlights. That was awesome. October the 10th, this Friday. How many of you, like, and I know y'all I can't see you raise your hand, but how many of you saw the Why We Left video? That was me and the other pastors talking with the also pastor and therapist, and we were on the stage together having a conversation. Well, I'm bringing Dr. Janine, which was the therapist. She's going to be with me Friday. So Friday, meet me right back here, and we're gonna be having a conversation on why I need therapy, why you need therapy. I had a little therapy session with her right after we did the on stage thing, and I was like, yeah, that's right. Therapy can be like a superpower. I can get more done with therapy. Now let me stop. But like, quite honestly, it's good stuff. So if that's something that interests you, if it boils your potato, make sure you meet me back here on the 10th. Also, next Sunday, I'll have Robert Richmond here with me live, which y'all have heard me talk about him before. But next Sunday, you're going to be able to see him, and we're going to be able to talk to him. I've stolen a few of his stories for content. I've always credited him, but I still stole him. So, but I still got to say it. And then of course, October the 16th, as I mentioned, I'll be in Mississippi, and man, I have one hell of a conversation prepared for you there. And again, that's a free event. So if you're anywhere in the Southeast, like, this is a great opportunity to get to be able to meet you, to see you in person, and not only for me to meet you and you to meet me, but for you to meet other people who live in the Southeast area who thought this event was worth traveling to. You know what I'm saying? Hey, think that through. And then I've been talking about Liftoff Weekend and Rise the whole time. Those links are in the description. All right, so are y'all ready for today's conversation? I've had him in the back for a while now, so I'm going to go ahead and bring him on, mainly so I can biggie size the screen and stop looking down and all over the place. But I'm super excited about this conversation. Again, if you are new here, these are Sunday sessions. My name is Darante LaMar. I'm the founder of a whole bunch of things, and one of those things is Bridge City Global. And what we're trying to do at Bridge City Global is build community beyond superstition that is people-centric, progressive thinking, and life affirming. Ultimately, at the end of the day, my belief is that if you can help people be better, then you help relationships be better, and that helps us get better outcomes. And so we're building that place that we hope is a better way to connect. So I host conversations like this every Sunday to kind of model what community conversations could look like, and to also cast vision, man, to get other people excited about doing the same thing. Now this week we're having some real conversations, so I want y'all to get ready for this. Today we're having my friend Zernul. Zernul has been a patron for over a year. I was pronouncing his name wrong for about that long, for about that long of a time, and he's gonna let me know when he comes on if I'm finally getting it right. But back when my channel was barely a blip on the map, this brother saw something special in me and this mission and signed up to start helping in whatever ways that made sense. Since then, he's been responsible for our likes, subscribe notification graphic that you see pop up on my Monday through Friday videos. And then he's also more recently the Roz promo that you just saw. That's him. That's him. He did that. And you know that stuff, like, and damn it, I gotta say it. That's stuff that I should have to pay for. You know what I'm saying? That's costly. That's his time. That is his labor. That is his skill. That is his experience. And that is something he gifted, you know, to this movement and to this mission. And so that's just absolutely incredible. He's also he's not just a supporter of the channel, man, but he's become a partner of the LDD World Group and a brother of mine. And even though he lives nowhere near LA, he's been an instrumental part of capturing this movement. And I'm looking forward to this conversation today. He recently shared his story on Tim Mill's channel, The Harmonic Atheist. So when you leave today, make sure to go get out to hear his story. But please welcome to the stage my friend Zernul Shackleford. Zernul, welcome. Welcome
What's
on, man.
happening, my brother?
So
What's the
glad
word,
to have
man?
you
What's the
today.
word? I'm happy to be here, man. And yes, you are saying the name right.
Start here. Your name right?
You are saying it right. Yes.
I'm committed to it.
But I did just notice right now,
Awesome,
just
man.
a second ago,
Oh.
I did just a second ago that the last name is spelled wrong. I just noticed that it's EL instead of LE. I like to tell people that I speak Spanish and not French.
Whoa.
So L instead of le. Yeah. I just noticed it like 2 seconds ago, man. So ain't no big deal. And I don't
Ooh,
care.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm gonna have to get that.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
gonna
all
have to
good,
get
man.
it.
It is all good.
I'm
I
gonna
do
have to
not
get it.
even care. Even
Well,
a little
man,
bit.
listen, before we jump into it, go ahead and introduce yourself, man. Tell the audience how you ended up on Harmonic Atheist and what your journey is kind of looking like now.
So I was trying to remember that, man, how exactly we connected. I just know, one, I've never been a follower, I've never been a believer in Christianity, any of that, even from a very early age. Pretty much once I found out Santa Claus wasn't real, the moment that happened, then Jesus and everything else just left in that very second. At that point, once I found out by accident. I think if I had been told, if I had been given some explanation about why Santa Claus wasn't real, you know, maybe some logical thing or something, maybe I think it still would have fallen apart at some point, because I just think, but I think I'd have held on to the possibility longer. But I found out completely by accident. And once that happened, I looked around, I'm like, yeah, y'all lying to me about every damn thing. And so it's like, no. So because of the current climate, because of the current climate we found ourselves in, it's not lost on me that Christianity in particular is a reason, or at least a part of the reason why we're finding ourselves in this situation. And, you know, because I have no personal history or deep personal connection with Christianity like that, I wanted to better understand where's all this coming from. And so I started following some atheist content, people like Prophet Azad, Harmonic Atheist. I wound up coming across Mind Shift, people like that. And so I started listening to this stuff. And Harmonic Atheist, I like his style because it's just this, it's longer format, typically an hour and a half to 2 hours. I think he's even got one that's maybe a 2.5 hour video where he's talking to these people. They're just telling their stories. And that really helped me understand these people a little bit more. Because of course, you know, everybody's not the same. You know, I get that. But it gave me a lot more to understand. And so I totally get it now. I'm not as confused as I was before. So I totally get it. But I actually found you on Harmonic Atheist. He's where I heard about you for the very first time, and I started following your content right away. But I reached out to Tim on Facebook. I think I sent him a friend request on Facebook, and he responded to that. And so I let him know, hey, I'm Dark Side. I'm the one who responds as Dark Side all the time, because typically every video I watch from anybody, any of the content I watch, I make sure that I like it and I leave a comment. Even if the comment isn't super engaging, I just do that to make sure that the algorithm is pushing this out to more people. And sometimes I'll even put on there, algorithm check, just
Yeah.
nothing to do with anything. I just say that just to give it something. And so I wanted him to know who I was exactly. And then he asked me if I wanted to share my story. And I was a little confused by that because I'm like, dude, I don't have the trauma or the relationship that these other people have had. I really didn't think that I would fit on his channel at all. He saw different.
Wow.
He saw a little bit different. He said, yeah, you would definitely
Yeah.
be different than the other people.
Yeah.
But, let's see what happens. Let's just have a conversation. And we didn't expect it to last very long because to me, I didn't have a whole lot to share. But we wound up, I think it was like an hour and a half or something like that. It was a really good conversation. Truly enjoyed it. For me, even though I don't have the lived experiences that these other people on this channel have had, I hope that the Christians that inevitably end up on his channel who are going to, troll the comments and say the things that they say and spout the stuff that they spout, that at least they will have heard my story, knowing that I've never been to jail, never been to prison, never been in a gang, never did drugs, never drank. I had one drink my entire life. Well, maybe one and a quarter when you consider the little tiny shot that my girlfriend gave me when I quit my job that I couldn't handle. I'm just a wuss when it comes to alcohol. I can't. Yeah. And I don't know if that's mental or something because my mom was an alcoholic. I don't know if on the inside I'm just like, nope, I'm not doing it. And so, yeah. But, I am not.
Nope, I get it.
Yeah, right. I'm not what the Christians say atheists are. And I've never been that. I have my own business. I've been in business now for myself. I started my business in 2012, but I quit my job 4 years ago. I do this thing full time now. All this stuff without God, all of this without prayer, without any of this stuff. I take care of my brother. I give to charities. I help people. All this stuff, everything they say atheists or not. I was hoping that somebody would see that video and be like, that might be the chink in their armor somewhere that goes, well, here's this guy that says this. He's not a demon, any of this other stuff. Maybe they're not all bad.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was hoping to have achieved from my conversation with Tim. Uh-oh, I think you froze.
Oh, dude, like that's incredible. There's a few things in that. Oh no. Okay, am I back? Okay, good.
Yeah, you're back now. Yes.
There's a few things that I want to circle back to in that, man, because there was a lot of stuff. Awesome. One is, what was it like? Because you said you let go of the idea of a God belief with Santa Claus. How like that? So that's a long time ago. So what was it like navigating life without believing in a God that early? Like you're not saying your prayers when you go down. When you go to sleep at night. If lay me down to sleep.
That was the one we used to say.
Are you going to church with family members? Yeah.
So I didn't believe in it, but I was surrounded by it all the time, right? And we had at my grandmother's house, we had the little white Jesus painting or whatever it was. I can still see it in my head where it was and all that. I don't remember my grandmother that I grew up with. I don't remember her ever going to church, but now the grandmother on my father's side, that whole side over there, they were super church, but I didn't spend any time with them. They lived in Michigan and in Arkansas and stuff. I didn't spend any time with them. I knew of them, but didn't spend any time with them. But on my side, not so much. It was talked about a lot. People said grace all the time and all this stuff. And I said it with them. I was never disrespectful or anything. I just didn't believe in any of it, especially after Santa Claus. But I wanted to. I'm not going to lie. I did want to believe because I'm like, well, if all these people believe this stuff, I felt like maybe I was missing out on something or just didn't understand or whatever, that maybe I was just wrong. So I did want to. And the more I asked, the fewer questions got answered. I was always really curious. Like even in third grade, I remember asking my teacher in third grade when she was talking about Christopher Columbus discovering America and all that. And I raised my hand and said, well, because I knew what discover meant. I said, well, how did he discover America if there was somebody already here? Didn't they discover it? Because I didn't know where the Indians came from, right? I didn't know where they came from, but clearly they were here first. So why aren't they the ones that discovered it? And she just told me to shut up. I got that a lot from people. Just shut up, whenever I ask questions and stuff.
Man.
I went to church quite a bit with my uncle because he went to church a lot. And I mostly just went there because of the music. Like, I liked hearing the music.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome. And again, I was still trying to understand. It just never came. The more they talked, the crazier it sounded to me, and
Yeah.
it just never made any doggone sense, man. But I was surrounded by it. I was never, like I said, I was never defiant or anything. I didn't announce that I didn't believe, but it was, to me, it was clear that I didn't, especially with the stuff that I listened to. I grew up in the hood. I didn't grow up in hood suburban light. I grew up in the hood. If anybody knows the South Side of Chicago, man, there was no heavy metal and stuff around there.
Right.
But I loved this stuff, especially like Kiss. My birthday's on Halloween, so
now how did that happen? How did you get
yes,
into heavy
I
metal?
don't know, man. I really don't. All I know is I saw them for the first time maybe on like 3-2-1 Contact. Me and my cousin was talking about that. Was this show that came on back in the day. I don't remember what it was about necessarily, but Kiss was on that. And I remember seeing them on that and hearing the music and thinking, oh my God, this is so doggone cool. And just the makeup and the superhero thing, is clearly I'm into superheroes. You can see with Spider-Man all over the place.
Yes.
But I'm really into that. So, Kiss was the superheroes, the music, and the whole Halloween thing. So to me, they were just a trifecta of everything. My birthday's on Halloween, so it was just all of that. But there weren't any record stores that sold that near me, because it was this little mom and pop shop that did not have any Kiss albums. And for me, there was no black and white. It was just music. And I would run up to the store, because back in the day, they used to have actual commercials when albums would come out. The K-Tel albums with all the compilation songs and all that stuff was actually commercials. And there would be commercials for the new Kiss albums. And I'd run to the store. Do you have the new Kiss album? And this dude would be looking at me like, what are you talking about, man? And I never understood why that was until one day my stepfather took me I went to the store with him in some suburb somewhere. And I'm thumbing through the albums because I love music so much. And I found my very first Kiss album. And I looked around and I was like, oh, okay. So this is white people stuff. I get it, because wasn't no black people nowhere. It was just me and him. We were probably the only black people in the whole anywhere, for all I could tell.
Yeah.
But now I knew where to get this stuff, though. Yeah. But now I knew where to get it. So I would start getting this stuff. And my uncle would always ask me, man, why are you listening to this stuff? Because I like it. I'm not even at all thinking about the whole devil and Satan and none of that, until my cousins, who were Jehovah's Witnesses, they came by one day and they saw this stuff and they're like, well, Kiss means knights in Satan's service.
Oh,
what? Kings and Satans. It was always something in Satan's service. K-word in Satan's service was Kiss. I'm like, get out of here, man. But then I started looking at it more, and I could see where they were coming from. And for a little while, it kind of scared me a little bit. Like, man, I don't know. And Kiss had one song on one album called "On the Eighth Day, God Created Rock and Roll." And for a little while, I was even scared to even say that. I would skip that part of it. I would say on the eighth day, and I wouldn't say God created. I would just say go to created, right? And then I started experimenting with it and saying God, and nothing happened. I'm sure I'm rabbit trailing, man. But
no, you're good. No, I love this.
That's kind of where it all started. And from Kiss, I started finding other albums and things, because I like the Kiss stuff, but I was always drawn to darker imagery, darker poetry. Minor chords and things like that. I've always been drawn to that kind of thing, and so I would go to these record stores and I would find just the most evil looking stuff, and I would bring it home. This is great. This is just wonderful. Angel Witch, stuff like that. Venom, things that clearly ain't nobody listening to where I come from, but I'm loving it. I'm loving the poetry of it. And it was a little scary at first, I'm not gonna lie, but because of the things that were around me, I just didn't understand it. But the more I listened to it, I'm like, nothing's happening. I'm not feeling possessed or any doggone thing, but I'm loving the lyrics. I'm loving the poetry. I'm loving the art style and all that. And it just kind of blossomed from that. I started playing guitar myself, and I'm sure we'll get into all that later, but yeah, that's how I started.
Okay, so this is wild. So you're at some point as a kid, you give up on Santa and Jesus.
Totally.
And then somehow get into heavy metal music, and then somehow throughout all of this journey, you become the type of person who wants to be on nonprofit boards, who wants to make sure that people are taken care of. There are things that you're funding. You're out. You started your own business now. Like most times, like even in the content creator space, most times when people talk about starting their own business, there's always this attachment of, I had to step out on faith. I had to trust God for this thing. Like, who did you trust? You don't have Santa. You don't have Jesus. Like when you made this statement, which is one of my favorite stories from you, because again, your literal Independence Day. But when you made this decision, that might be the answer right there. But when you made this decision, where did you pull that strength from to say, you know what, hey, and I know I'm rabbit trailing like you. I put a bunch of questions in one.
Yeah.
So it's where are you getting your morality from if it's not Jesus and it's not Santa? And where are you getting the strength to live your life and literally, figuratively pull something out of nothing? And I mean that, because that's what entrepreneurship is. You have to go out there where nothing is, in the middle of space, and create enough attention around yourself to eventually where people are coming to you. So like, how are you doing that if not for a God? Like what is that mechanism for you? How is that working, man?
Satan. It's Satan. No,
hey, look, the secret is out, y'all.
The secret's out, man. Yeah, no, I don't believe in him either. So
you're right.
That's I don't believe in that either. Man. So early on, when I was a kid, there was a cartoon on Sesame Street about a lowercase n. And the first time I heard this thing, it made me cry. And there's a particular part, it's just this little, I don't know, it might be 30 seconds long. The whole little cartoon might be 30 seconds. And it's about this N that's on a hill by itself. And there's just a guy playing a guitar, just an acoustic guitar. And he's singing about this lowercase n. But then toward the middle of the song, the spaceship comes down and brings another N that comes out of the spaceship. And now these two ends are together, and there's this little happy ending. But it was the chorus, the little choir voices when the spaceship starts coming down. Ooh, that little sweep, man, even right now, it always got me. And that made me cry, man. Like, what is that, dude? And, back in the day, there was no on-demand TV. So once it happened, it was gone until the next time it came around again. And so I watched Sesame Street every day, waiting for this to happen. And when it finally did, it's just, oh yeah, great, yes. I saw it in lowercase n again. And I run to my mom and like, why is this making me cry? And she said, boy, go play some doggone where. But from that moment, I wanted to touch other people that way. I wanted to touch people the way this lowercase n thing touched me. And the same thing with Charlotte's Web. That the song with Charlotte, it's always the voices, man, the choirs and the chords with the voices. That made me cry too. And I've always wanted to tap into that. So fast forward, growing up with the whole music thing and all that, I wound up wanting to learn how to play guitar, mostly because of Kiss. I'd see Kiss, Paul Stanley going off doing this thing. I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to be that. And so I found there was a thrift store down the street from us, actually right next to the record shop, ironically.
Wow.
That had this beat up acoustic guitar in the window. And I wanted this thing, but we were super, super poor, man. And I knew we couldn't afford it. And I think it might have only been $15, but $15 to us was a lot of doggone money, man. And wasn't nobody gonna be spending no $15 on no doggone guitar. It wasn't gonna happen, so I knew I couldn't afford it. But we did have a bunch of boots and shoes and stuff in the closet that nobody wore. And the more I think about this, I don't remember asking permission to do this, because and maybe I did, I don't know. But I just remember putting all these doggone boots in the trash bag, running to the thrift store, and asking the lady in the store if I could trade these shoes for the guitar. And again, in retrospect, she said yes, but I think she looked at this like, man, these shoes are worth more than this $15. Yeah, little boy, here you go. Take the, she got over, but whatever. I wanted the guitar. It didn't matter. I brought this thing home and I started teaching myself how to play guitar. Now, this guitar was a piece of crap. It had the regular sound hole in it, but it also had another hole where I don't know if somebody put their foot through it or something. It was just it was a terrible instrument. But I started, banging around on it, learning how to play, or thought I was teaching myself how to play music. What I was doing though is I would take a tape recorder and I would play along with the tape recorder and sing some crap. Me and my cousin would just be singing stupid lyrics and whatnot. And then we'd take a second tape recorder. We'd play that first one back. And then we sing and play to ourselves with the second recorder. We just kept doing that back and forth. So we're actually multi-tracking at the time. We didn't know what to call it, but we were multi-tracking at the time. But it was also just sounded like crap because every time we record something, we're re-recording all the noise and stuff from the other record. It was just garbage, but it was, for us, it was huge. Then we found our first Porta studio from Tascam, which was a little tape deck 4-channel thing, and that we could now control it more. And so that just started happening. The more I started learning, the more I learned how to record and things like that. And somebody destroyed the first guitar. I went to visit my uncle for a week, and when I came home, the first guitar was in pieces behind the door. I think they just wanted me to shut up. Yeah. I think they just wanted the noise to stop. I never asked, but I think they just wanted the noise to stop. And so, but it hurt, man. It hurt really bad. Yeah. And I was telling a substitute teacher about that. And he said, well, hey, we have a guitar in our attic that my grandfather used to have. Nobody ever uses it. If you want it, you can have it. And that was a big game changer, because then I actually started teaching myself how to play. Yeah. I taught myself how to play guitar, and that's when everything really started taking off. And so I've always had this kind of entrepreneurial thing going on. I joined the Marine Corps at 17, got married in 95, and that shit, I really wanted to still be Kiss, but now I want to be Metallica. I want to be the first black Metallica. That was my goal. I'm going to just take over the world with all my heavy metal music and blah, blah, blah. And, but I got married, and we started having kids, and I had to put that on the back burner. But I never stopped. You know, it was not primary, but I never did stop. Man. Got laid off in 2000 from the steel mill, which was a phenomenal job. And it was where I actually started really amassing the equipment I needed, because I was making insane amounts of money at the mill. I had never made this kind of money before. Like I said, I grew up super dirt poor, man. And the money I was making here was like, oh my God, I could take care of my family, take care of my kids. This is great. And I could buy all the toys that I need to hone my craft. But then all that got pulled from underneath me because we got laid off. The economy took a crap, got laid off, and all that money I had just went away just like that. Even the money that I had in the 401k was starting to disappear. And that scared me, because it's like, it's just leaving and I'm not the one taking it out. So I took it out myself, because I didn't have a job anymore, and so I had to keep the family. And eventually even all that ran away. So I wound up getting my CDL and working as a truck driver. But all this time, my goal is still to create music and to do film, because I'm a filmmaker also. In 2012, I started my business officially in 2012, after driving a truck for several years, I think like 6 or 7 years, and then coming back to the mill. Started the business in 2012. But from that moment on in 2012, it was always my goal to actually do this thing full time. I was serious as all hell now. I didn't want to do this for play anymore. People are actually starting to want to pay me to do this stuff that I'm doing. And I set the goal in 2012, launched Dark Side of Delight Productions, but I'm still working at the mill. My kids are growing up. Without getting too personal, my wife and I at the time, we really weren't husband and wife anymore. We were just, I like to say we were court-appointed roommates, and that's what it was, and I knew at some points I had to, I couldn't just leave my kids, so I still had to keep doing this thing as strategic as possible. But my goal was to wait for my kids to finally get to a point where they don't need me, that I could just jump off the cliff and just do this thing. So was it faith in myself? I believed in what I was able to do. Absolutely. But it had nothing to do with God or anything like that. And so once my kids didn't need me anymore, except for my youngest, he's turning 19 this month.
Oh, wow. Happy early birthday if you watch.
Right. And my wife and I, we're divorced now and all that. It's just me. There's nobody else that I have to worry about. It's just me. So there's no reason for me not to be able to do this. And actually, through COVID, the business grew because more people needed video now. They needed this stuff for funerals. I started live streaming funerals and whatnot, and meetings and things like that. So this was like, now I'm actually getting paid monthly to do this. So I said, I'm going to quit. I hated the mill anyway. I never liked it. Darante, I hated the mill so much, but it was what I needed to do to feed the family. I couldn't turn down all that doggone money either. But now that I didn't need that stuff anymore, I just said, I'm done. And I left. So I've been doing this now.
Man,
It's been 4 years now.
that's amazing because when I hear that, your your guiding star just seems to really be your experiences with other people and your experiences with life. Even sharing the story about the little inn from Sesame
Mhm.
Street, we can kind of see how that shape even where your career is today, because this is now what you do. You create these moments. You create moments that kind of create those moments for other people. And that is something that's amazing that I do like to remind people of, because I know as a parent, it was one of those things that watching my own children grow up, of realizing that, oh yeah, m- uh, I wasn't given morality.
Mhm.
Morality didn't descend on me when I got saved. I remember I was watching my kids and just the way that they engaged with each other. They learned morality. They learned how they wanted to treat each other based off how they would feel in those moments, and based off of those interactions. So, like, if I keep hitting my little brother's not going to want to play with me, you know, and so
Right.
that's going to make me feel sad if my brother doesn't want to play with me. So I'm going to stop hitting my brother, and that's a morality building moment. But it's those small moments that we often overlook, and just outsource that to some religion, some superstition, some faith, or anything else. And I think the real sad part about that is we overlook the awareness of children. And that's what I'm hearing in your story. Like, there's this guitar, it's $15. This is a thrift store. I know we can't afford it, but I know we got some shoes that ain't nobody else using. Like, there is a high level amount of reasoning that's going on here to get to this point, to get to this guitar. And then even just being aware enough and open enough to be having a conversation with your substitute teacher about this passion of yours that opens that door. And so that, to me, that's beautiful, and it's often overlooked because we don't realize, like, that's what shapes us. It's our human experiences. It's our moments. It was one of the hardest things for me to realize when I deconverted, is that, Darante, you're not a good person because God had his hands on you. You're a good person because you don't want to be a jerk. Like, it's really it's
Period.
just kind of that simple, And so, man, I love it. So, okay, so you're now full time doing this, man. You stepped out on faith in yourself, which I absolutely love. Um, what is driving your work? Like, how do you define purpose in what you do? Um and and I just want to circle back here. What I really love about this, and I'm probably going to come back and ask more about this, and this is for everybody who's watching. This is why I love having conversations like these, because there are a lot of people out here who will sell a lot of different get rich quick ideas. Um and what Zernul just did is he shared with you in a very simple way that he basically just used strategy and math. You know, I know what I need now, and I know what I'll need then. I know what I can do now, and I'm not going to neglect that. Right. So I know I can't go in on this as hard as I want to go, because I got to provide for my family. But I'm going to make sure that what I'm providing for my family with is enough for me to invest into this craft at the same time, so that the time that I get, I'm working on it. So it's not 10 years later, I finally got the freedom, I finally got the money, but now I have to learn this skill from day one. I got to start all over. So
Mhm. Mhm.
that is beautiful strategy there. But so what's driving your work now? Like, how do you define purpose in what you do? And again, like, this has been a great conversation, but what drives you? Okay, it's not Jesus, it's not Santa Claus. Right now, it sounds just like it's just you. Like, it's
It is, man.
yeah.
It is like, I like to compare it to being an eagle. Like, I don't know what an eagle thinks about from on a day-to-day basis, right?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I know it hunts. I know
Mhm.
it feeds its young until the young can do it themselves, and it's just gonna hunt and eat until it falls out the sky or whatever happens, to eagles.
Yes.
That's me with creativity. I am creativity. People,
Yeah.
like, I hardly sleep. I don't take a lot of breaks. And it's not because I'm a workaholic. I've heard people call me a workaholic. It's not that at
Yeah.
all. I
Yeah.
This is what I am, and it almost makes me ill when I'm not. Uh,
Yes.
I don't chill a lot. It's very seldom I'm relaxing, because to me this isn't work. It's just I love it. It's what I do. To me, my purpose is this. My purpose is bringing people's stories to life. My purpose is when people see their videos for the first time, they don't know how to get it out of their head, right? They know what they think they see, and they tell me this stuff, and then they finally see it and they finally hear it for the first time. It's almost like giving birth to a baby, and the joy that brings people. I love that, man. I absolutely love that so doggone much. Now, don't get me wrong. There are things that I want to do for myself. There's a
story
concept, a group of characters that I created when I was a kid that I really want to create myself. At the end of the day, if this is the last thing I could do, I would love to do it. I don't tell a lot of people about it because it's so unique and so, especially now, so relevant right now. I don't want anybody stealing it from me, you know. And
that's true. Yeah.
You know, I'd almost rather die with it than to tell somebody and then look up
and
one
day
day
and
see it on,
you
know, because that actually happened, man. So a person who was a good friend of mine back in the day, we had done this story that had they were B-list actors. Well, one was an A-list actor, but there were some names attached to this thing, right? And I was at the time was in charge of creating the music for it, creating the voice acting for what was called the animatics. It was the animated thing. My kids helped out with it a lot. I did all the music. So it was like bringing storyboards to life of this whole thing. So we would basically make the film now so that when these actors came in, we had all the kinks already worked out and they could go ahead and just act and do their thing. We got through the first 2 acts of this particular thing. And then all of a sudden everything just stopped. I wasn't in any of the meetings around the logistics and all that stuff. I was just, you know, basically the hired contractor to do the music and the sound effects and voices and stuff. And so I wasn't part of the meetings of why this thing stopped. I just know that it did. And then one day I looked up and my kids and I are going to movies. I go to the movies a lot with my kids, man. We've seen so many doggone cartoons. I love my kids so doggone
I love
much,
that, man.
Man, those are my little homies. I call them my little big heads.
Who loves his kids, y'all.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And 2 of them biologically aren't even mine. So, you know, but to me, that doesn't matter. You know, that does not mean a damn thing to me whatsoever. These are my babies.
At all.
But I'm there with my kids one day and we're watching a movie, and then there's this trailer that comes on, and it is basically our film. Dang. And my kids, who have been part of this because they have been integral with it, they've been doing the voices and stuff. They sat with me making his music and stuff. They're like, "Dad, you didn't tell me it was finished." Wow. And I said, "This ain't ours." You know, and I'm watching this damn trailer. I'm getting pissed, man. Like, what is that, dude? And so I actually watched the film because I just had to know. And it was enough of it was changed where it wasn't the same movie.
Yeah.
But if you were intimate with the script, you knew where this stuff came from. You knew how it all connected. And I got so doggone mad. But what really kind of upset me too was my buddy who wrote this, how he responded to it. He wasn't nearly as upset as I was. I'm like, why are you not so upset? So I, you know, when I look back on it, I don't know where anything came from. I don't know if he took this from somebody else or if they took it from, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is I'm not giving mine up like that, you know? And so, I'm holding on to mine until I die or until I can create it myself. And with the new tools and stuff we have now with AI and all that stuff is making it a little more possible. So don't get me wrong. There's things that I want to do for myself, but in the meantime, while I'm getting to that, everything that I'm doing for other people have actually given me the skills to create the thing that I want to create. So it's almost like I'm rehearsing for this final show, so to speak.
I love that. That's actually one thing that I used to encourage people to do. I think me and Robert was talking about this recently, is that when I was in talent acquisition, I'd encourage people like, hey, if there's some things that you really want to learn, go do them for other people. That's the quickest way you can learn how to do those things for yourselves, you know. When I used to run this little small mentor group, that was one of the things I used to tell my little mentees is that, hey man, go pick a job that's free education for you. If you're going to work somewhere and you're going to have to be clocked in for 8 hours a day, make sure it's something that's free education for you, that is
Mhm.
giving you access to the software that you don't normally get access to. It's giving you access to the hardware. It's giving you access to the systems. So that way you can do it for someone else. And if nobody else gives you that opportunity, find an organization to volunteer for. But no, I love that, because then you build those things up for yourself. I wanna hit this, just the idea of storytelling a little bit, because you did our Rise promo, and you sat in a few of those meetings. I was like, I can't think of anything. We gotta pull this together, and we gotta have it together before the first weekend of October. And I think that may have been the end of August or the beginning of September at the time. And I think we were like 3 weeks in, and I still hadn't really thought of anything. And I think we were in a meeting, and in the middle of the meeting, you're like, oh, that's it right there. And I'm like, what? He's like, the thing you just said. And I'm like, I said something. Ooh. And thankfully the note taker thing had it pulled up, and you went back, found the notes, got everything, pulled it back together, and literally brought it back to me and said, this is what we need to do, change it the way you want to do it. And that's what gets us to this place in Rise, or at least for that Rise promo. What is it? Because again, and we can go back to Sesame Street here, because obviously that did something with you there for the power of storytelling. With knowing where we are as a society today, seeing the rise of Christian nationalism in
Mhm.
our country, how important do you think it is for secular communities and non-believers to utilize the power of storytelling?
I think it's super important, man. I
Yeah,
honestly, I think it's super important, and like I'll go back to Tim Mill's channel. Excuse me. Unlike yours is, I think, just a lot more thought based. It's
yeah,
is grounded in philosophy and things like that, and just making you think. His
yeah,
is definitely much more story oriented, and as much as I appreciated those stories at the time, I didn't I didn't see how the bigger picture would work with that.
yeah.
But now I think stuff like that is super important, because people connect the stories.
Yes.
No matter what, even if if it's somebody you hate, somewhere in there, somewhere there's a connection. And so, I think stuff like that, stories are huge. Stories make people connect. They can accidentally teach you things that you
Yes.
can learn things without even knowing that you're learning. And that's why
Yes.
I love stories so doggone much. So yeah, especially right now, I think it's a very stories are extremely important right now, more so than ever. I think
Hmm.
being able to connect with people's individuality
Yes.
helps. I've always been an individual. Like I never asked to be born. I
Yeah.
never asked to be born in Chicago. I didn't ask to be born black. I
Come
didn't
on.
ask to be born on the South Side. None of this
Yeah.
stuff. But for a lot of people, that defines who they are. I'm a Sox fan, damn it. I'm on the South Side of Chicago, South Side, and all that. I'm like, man, none of that means anything to doggone me, man. But my story, it doesn't matter any of that
Yeah,
other stuff. You know what I mean? And so stories I think are extremely important, man. Extremely,
man.
especially now.
Yep. I want to challenge anybody who's watching now or later who's a creative. I want you to really hear that and think of that, just how powerful storytelling is. And I want you to know, like, again, this moment, because I'm going to have to go and find this Sesame Street
I will send you a
video
link.
with the little end. Please do. Because, when I hear that story, I don't hear any politics. I
Mm-mm.
don't hear any cultures. I don't hear any creeds or anything. It's just, and to me, like, that's simply art, man. That's absolutely beautiful, to be able to take a letter and to be able to get to tell the story so well that you can get a child to see themselves as the letter, and to see
Mm-hmm.
others as the letter. Like, that's incredible. And so I want to encourage creatives out there that, you know, I think the thing that everybody wants to do now is sound the alarm, right?
Yeah.
And that we do need people sounding the alarm. Please don't mistake me. But man, when I look historically, you'd have battles and then you have marching songs. You have
Mm.
battles and then you have battle cries. The art, we can never neglect the arts aspect of any human movement. And so many times when we do think of the creative aspect, we think of what can we do against, right? Like, I've been asked to be a part of a few projects, but the projects are really grounded in, oh, we're gonna make a song, we're gonna make some songs against this or songs against that. And I'm like, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. But what I'd really like to see is what can we do that inspires the type of change that we want to see? What can we do that invokes those type of emotions that we want people to feel? And I love that avenue, and that's just what that story reminds me of. And that really, that's sitting down with you and cranking out this promo, because we did like 2 or 3 shots, and what you really had your finger on the pulse of is how it felt. You know, from the time we started to the time we're ending, and I don't hear any of the music yet. I'm sitting in this room with my green screen behind me, and you're just like, all right, go, and I'm going, and you're like, okay, that's good. But I wanted to feel this way. And that's something like, it's a part of the creative process. I go through that when I'm making music, right? Even when I'm just writing a lyric and I'm like, man, that lyric is technically accurate, but it does not give me the feeling that I want right there. So I've got to somehow or even when I'm singing, that note right there, that's technically nice, but I want to bend it so that people can feel what you know what I'm saying? And so I love that, because that's what I want. That's what I want the secular community to really tap into. And Aretha Franklin, in the words of Aretha Franklin, giving these people something they can feel. Because that's where the power is, and I think that's what makes Tim's channel so phenomenal, is that when you're hearing those individual stories, it's giving people something that they can feel, and so that's beautiful. That's amazing. Creatives, get to fucking work, man. Make some incredible commercials out there, make some incredible skits, tell some funny stories, like, oh my goodness, because your work is needed. And and I'll get back to me and Zernul in a few minutes. I'm just chastising these creatives for a moment. But no, and find other people. You may not have the ideas, but if you have the talent, find the people with the ideas and make magic, because like, we need it. That's what revolution is. Like, if we're going to be snatching people out of these unhealthy systems, we have to be making sure that whatever we're plugging them into is healthy. And this is what I love about Zernul's story. And this is, he opened it up when he was on about his time on Harmonic Atheist, is that the goal is that people see that, yes, I'm an atheist, but I am happy, I am healthy, I am living my life, I am loving other people, I am supporting other people. Like, and that's like, y'all have no idea how powerful of a testimony that is. That shit is attractive, because right now we know what they think about us. They think we're baby eaters, that we hate everybody, that we're selfish, that we wouldn't support anything, that we so individualistic, that we never help anybody if they was our own cheering. This is how these people think about us. So it's so important that, yes, let them see us angry. Yes, let them see us standing for and fighting for what we believe in. But damn it, also let them see us live. Let them see us love. Let them see us lifted up, God damn it, because that's what's going to speak volumes to the people on the fence. The people on the fence are going to be like, damn, so ain't nobody over there got a job? Well, shit. Okay. I think I might just stay over here with these juice and crackers a little while longer,
Juice and crackers.
I'll play pretend just a little while. Everybody over there depressed and unemployed. And so like, oh damn, that's not healthy. And y'all know me, I've been fucking ringing this alarm since I started doing this. That shit, it happens because we're not being intentional about community. We can, if we're all really fighting for the same things and fighting for the same outcomes, we need to be finding ways to do it together. Doesn't mean we have to be doing it right up under each other, but we do got to be finding ways to make sure that it's benefiting the whole. So that way, we shouldn't have so many people in our community fighting for human rights who can barely pay their bills. That's not a flex. That's not something we want. We should not have so many people who are having to risk their entire lives just to speak up. If we see that happening, we need to be organizing ourselves in such a way when someone says, hey, I'm ready to speak up, but we can line up and say, hey, we got you. You know what I'm saying? Hey, if someone fire you for speaking out, don't worry. We got somewhere to plug you into. That's the level of thinking that I want us to be on. And I'm telling y'all, creatives, back to y'all, telling y'all are the ones that are going to get us there. Y'all are gonna get us there. It's
I
the
agree.
stories that y'all tell. It's the films, the short stories, the webisodes, the art. Like y'all are gonna get us there. The music, and I guess that's kind of me too. I'm a creative too, so I'm getting on my own ass. All right. So like so. How did you get caught up with me, man? Like how did you and I end up getting together? Because now like you've been in some of my meetings now. I've hung out with you just on the phone a little bit. I've met your significant other. You've met mine. You've invited me up there, offered to pay for me. How did you and I get to this space, and why? Like, what is it that you decided to say, hey, I'm gonna help this cat out, and I'm gonna do it for free? Because again, I did mention that at the beginning, like this is real work. Y'all saw that Rise promo. That was like that's something you'd pay somebody, and I'm not, how you go on the menu and you got the $1 and you got $2 and you got you know what I'm saying? This ain't no $1, $2 job right here.
No, sir.
And you came in and you've kind of offered that support, almost since day damn one. Can you talk to our audience a little bit about what did you see here and why you decided to connect on that level?
Sure. So yeah, like I said, when I first saw you, hold on, sorry. Take a sip real quick.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna do the same thing.
All right. Hydration. So when I first saw you, it was on Tim Mill's channel. Coming from the South Side, coming from the hood, Black people, there aren't very many Black, at least openly Black atheists, especially from the hood. That's just something. It's almost like if you Black, you Christian, period.
Yep.
Or you some version of either you're Black or you're Muslim. I mean, or either you're Christian or you're Muslim.
Yes.
There's usually no other anything, I mean, there's maybe some spirituality here or there, but for the most part, it's Christian. And so seeing somebody like yourself, super passionate about what you're talking about, articulate, just laying it all on the doggone line. I'm like, man, okay. So I followed you right away. Started watching some of your videos. I'm like, this dude is smoking, man. I even told my girlfriend, I said, my God, this guy is amazing. I'm loving what he's saying. I'm loving how he presents his material. And like you said, it hadn't grown anything yet.
Yeah.
I subscribe and I'm Patreons to some other atheist channels as well. And I said, well, if I'm helping them out, I'm going to help this brother out. That's for doggone sure, so so I started doing it. And then the more you were putting out, the more I'm like really feeling what you're talking about. And I said, I just got to reach out to this guy, because if there's something I can do to help, because right now, again, I've been asked several times, do I want to eliminate religion? I don't think I want to eliminate religion. If people want to believe what they want to believe, have at it. I just don't want to be forced to believe in what you believe in. And I do think there is real harm. If after you've gone through all of this and you've actually looked at it yourself and you still believe this, hey, that's on you. No problem. But I don't think everybody else should have to believe it because you do. I don't think my morals should be driven because of whatever, and that's just, we're going down that path right now. And I feel like me being silent is complicit. I don't know if what I'm doing is going to make any doggone real difference or not, but I don't want to die without having given something a shot. And so, of course, I can't help everybody. There's a lot of people with a lot of different voices out there, but yours connected with me like in a major way. So I said, let me go ahead and reach out. And, from there we started talking, and it was, we're both feeling each other out. What is this? Who are you? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Just trying to figure where we could fit. Cause I am super busy. I'm not going to lie. I'm doing this full time. This isn't a hobby. This is, if I don't get paid, then I don't eat. And even though it's just me, I still do like a little bit more than peanut butter and jelly every doggone day.
Come on now. Yeah.
So I still like got to pay the bills and all that. Yeah, I like to eat, man.
I like crab legs.
My girlfriend likes to eat, and she don't care for peanut butter and jelly the same way I do. I think she likes smooth. I like super chunk, so, but I believe in what you're doing, man. And I love the message. And I really feel like whatever I can do to help that while not losing myself and what I need to do in the process, I'm going to do that. And the more things that happen, and the more I want to start contributing more too, because it's just, I feel like it's needed. Doing this Rise promo was super important to me, man. And like you said, during that one meeting when you were talking, you were just riffing, just going off about the things you've seen and heard and the people that you've come in contact with. And as soon as you were saying that, I'm like, boop, that's the promo right there. Because as much as commercials bother people, I get that. I actually like watching the commercials, especially the more entertaining ones. I like watching them. I like deconstructing them. I like figuring out what did they do to make people want to even consider buying this stuff or whatever the case may be.
Come on, man.
I find that stuff really interesting, you know. And so once you said those words, I'm like, that's the promo right there. At least that's the outline for the promo. That's the skeleton of which the promo will be built.
Yes, sir.
And then I saw the stuff that Ashley wrote. I'm not sure where that stuff came from, but I'm like, this is great. So what Darante said and what she said, we're going to marry those two things together to make this entire promo.
Yes.
Gave it to you so that you could put your spin on it to make it fit what you needed to do. And then we recorded it. And yeah, like you said, the first iteration, you were laid back. I'm like, man, that ain't you, dude. Where's Darante at, motherfucker? You know, like, where's Darante? Let's bring Darante to the fold. And once you did that, that was all we needed was that second take, man. And that's all I needed to make it happen. And I'm real happy with it. I'm glad it's serving you well. I hope that it gives you the outcome you're looking for.
Oh man, people have been excited about it.
I'm excited for you, man. I really am.
I'm gonna tell you, and y'all forgive me for sniffling. I am getting over a little. I don't know if I'm getting over or getting under, one of them. But that the outcome that I wanted from this is I'm already getting, and that's literally what I was just about to hit. I want to remind everybody, like, that when I talk about community, it's stuff like that, right? The need in the moment is, of course, different. The need in that moment is, hey, we need to find a way to communicate what it is that we're doing in Rise, and we need to do it in a creative way. And there are 3 or 4 of us in a room, and the burden isn't on one person. We all have different things that we can contribute in that one moment, and everybody flowed in that perfectly, you know. And that's power. Now you can switch that to anything. You have 50 people, and the problem can be somebody's lights are getting ready to be cut off. In the same way, we came up with the way to come with this idea of the promo. That's the same way community can find a way to support somebody. You find out, you know, like, hey, somebody you know, doesn't have this training that they need to have. Well, you know, it just turns out within this community, such and such, and this was a real conversation we had yesterday, such and such has their apprenticeship. And while maybe you can't get in their program officially, you can at least start learning some things. That's the power of community. It's just the more people you have at the table, the more options that are there. Zernul, if you wouldn't have been at the table that night, I could have said the exact same thing, and none of us would have caught it. You know what I'm saying? That moment would have came and went. That's how powerful, how valuable having you in the room was. If Ashley wasn't in the room, then sure, I would have said that thing. You would have caught it, but the other part would have been gone, and it just would not have existed. And so, like, that's the thing that I really want to push everybody who's watching. Like, never devalue your contribution. And that's one of the things that we're trying to find a way to. That I'm really trying to find a way to help people see is, like, you'd be surprised how the small things, like I always say, big doors swing on small hinges, you know. And so like that was that promo was a big door that came together from some small hinges, and because we did it together, you know, like, man, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I just remembered the first email. I've been trying to remember this ever since I booked you, and I think it's the first email, the first message that we had. It was back when I was still doing Bible study with the next pastor, which I will get back to those, y'all. It was back when I was still doing Bible study with the next pastor. Y'all know I was doing those live, just riffing, cussing my ass off the whole time, you know, but having a really good time, having a really, really good time. And I think I said something along the lines, is damn, this would have been dope if I had some graphics for this moment.
Right. And, Yep.
And you actually reached out and you was like, yes, it would be dope. And I was like, oh, damn, somebody's paying attention to my little rants and shit, you know? You know, but and like, and
I
that's
forgot all about that, man.
Start.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I've been trying to remember this. I've been trying to remember ever since you and I booked this. And I'm like, damn, why can't I remember it? But when you were just kind of talking through it, and I was like, oh yeah, now I remember. I don't even remember which episode it was, but I can almost remember because I was like, damn, some graphics would have been dope here.
Yes. Because I think it was a story too. And I think I wanted to use like some of my animation platforms to flesh out that story so that people could see it, not only hear you saying it, but that
Yep.
it could visualize, give people a visual of what you were saying at the time. Yeah.
Yes. Oh man, I love that. See, look, we're making magic already, and that wasn't even in the notes. That wasn't in the notes. Oh man. All right, so let me ask you this, and I know you hit this a little bit earlier. You've been a non-believer for a very long time, but it's been something while you weren't necessarily. You kind of treat it the way I used to treat smoking cigarettes. Um, I've not smoked in a while now. Congratulations to me. But I've struggled with smoking cigarettes my whole life. I've been smoking cigarettes since I was 7 years old. So I got this smooth, raspy voice. But you know, I used to treat my cigarette smoking as a thing. It wasn't something I was hiding, but it wasn't something I was advertising. It was just that people knew, they knew. People didn't, they didn't. And so, by far and large, it sounds like that's just kind of how you treated your non-believer status. It wasn't something that you were really hiding from people. You weren't going out your way to say, "Oh, I don't want them to find this out." It just wasn't something that you were going around saying, "Hey, this is who I am," and likely, probably not going to be something you likely end up doing like that. But what was it that stoked you to say, "Shit, I got to say something now"? Because I think we all end up having some of those moments to where it's like it's just finally something. Because for me, I was gonna hide for a while. I was literally just gonna hide and just stay in the background. Y'all were never gonna hear nothing from me as an atheist. You'd hear me talk maybe some middle of the ground type conversations, but then I had a moment, and I'll talk about my moment later. But I had a moment where I was like, I don't think I can afford to do that. I actually think I have to speak up, and I have to do it now. What was there a moment like that for you? And if it was, what was it?
I'm sure there was a moment. I don't remember what that was exactly, but I will say that the current environment we're in was the catalyst that created whatever that moment was. And honestly, I did a presentation several years ago, just before COVID. I was asked to come into a law firm to do a presentation on for Black history. Whoever they had for their speaker prior to that canceled for whatever reason. And my friend who works at this law firm was like, "You're Black. you have something you can talk about on Black History Month?" And I said, "Okay." I'm like, but I did tell her, I said, "Look, I'm not going to be politically correct with this thing, right? It's probably not going to be some kumbaya, whatever." I sent her an outline of what I wanted to talk about. They approved it. So I said, "Okay, here we go." And it was basically me saying that I noticed as a truck driver, because I was a truck driver at the time, when Obama was first running for president, I felt a shift in the entire country. Almost the way, if you're into Star Wars at all, when they blew up Alderaan and Obi-Wan was like, "I felt a disturbance in the Force."
Yes.
That's what I swear to God, that's what I felt during that time. And I could start to see things like I'm like really in tune with people and mannerisms and things like that, where I see little microaggressions and things that to some people just get past them. Like I see those little flickering moments and whatnot. And I was starting to see things that I'd never seen before, and people, the way they were talking to each other and stuff. And it was just like I felt something really bad was coming. And this is coming from somebody who grew up in the hood, who, like I said, I didn't ask to be Black. And I know this freaks people out when I say this. Being Black to me doesn't mean any doggone thing. It's just I'm Black because other people say I'm Black, and I'm not ashamed of being Black, anything like that, but I don't care.
Yes, sir.
Being a father matters to me. Being a father, I identify as that. Being a musician, being a filmmaker, I identify as that. That defines me. Being Black does not. But I know it does for other people, and they got to categorize and all that stuff. But I could see and feel this shit from somebody who I've been pulled over several times for whatever reason, but I don't automatically go, "Man, they just did this because I'm Black." I don't do that. I wasn't down with the way Black Lives Matter came out. I wasn't down with how that manifests itself. I get the sentiment, but I didn't agree with how it all played out. So coming from me, I'm not that guy who everything is this black or white thing. So if I'm telling you there's a problem, is
yeah.
probably really a problem, and that's what this whole
Yeah.
presentation was about. I explained to them who I was, where I came from, and how I felt like there's this big shift coming in America. I don't know what that means yet, but I feel that there's something really messed up happening.
Yes,
That
sir.
thing that I felt is happening right now, right? And I couldn't say when it was going to happen or exactly what that thing was, but that is what's happening right now. And so it's not lost on me that Christianity or religion, period, is a driving force for this whole doggone thing. And so at some point, it's like I can keep just ignoring it and letting other people fight the fight and do the battle. And like I don't want to be on the forefront of it at all.
Yeah.
But if I can lend my Spider-Man, like I said, it's a big deal to me. With great power comes great responsibility. I have this superpower of video, of storytelling, and all that. If I'm not using that in some way to at least plant seeds somewhere to give people something else to think about, then I'm not using my superpower responsibly. And so that's why I've been more vocal about it. I was invited to a gathering for a friend who had a trunk party. I didn't even know what a trunk party was, for their son who was going off to college, and everybody got into this big prayer circle thing. And I was with me and my youngest, who none of my kids are believers at all, and I didn't turn them into that. I didn't turn them into that. In fact, if they wanted to go to church, I told them, we can go to church. I will take you to whatever church you want to go. And we tried it a couple times. They were like, man, this is some bullshit. No, that's okay. We good.
We changed our mind.
Yeah.
We got Fruit Loops at the house. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Exactly. And I could tell you a funny story about Santa Claus with them too. But I have to help.
Yeah.
I have to help, and I need to be able to do that. So I don't know if there was a moment in particular. I just know where we are now. It ain't happening. Oh, I was telling you the story about the little prayer circles with me and my youngest.
Yes.
And they invited us in. Come on into the prayer circle. And it was the first time that I didn't at least, hold hands with people or something, or just put my head. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this any doggone more. And she kind of, the woman kind of looked at me like, and then she said, okay, no problem. And like I said, I'm not going to be overt about it, but I'm not going to pretend that I'm something I'm not. I don't believe in this stuff anymore. I'm not going to damn you for it, but I'm not going to participate in it like that either. Have at it. I'm in a lot of circles where people, they want to open with prayer and stuff like that. No problem. Go for it. But I'm not closing my eyes. I'm not bowing my head. I'm not going to, be disrespectful to what you do either, and maybe to some people what I'm doing is disrespectful, but I'm not going to be overtly disrespectful. Like hold on for a minute while I go take a tinkle while you do all this. I'm not going to do any of that, but I'm not participating, man. I'm just not. Love it. And whoever doesn't like it, well, then unfriend me, have at it. I don't care.
Kick rocks.
I don't care. If all the good that I'm doing in the world isn't enough, I'm not going to be somebody that I'm not for you to make you feel better about yourself. That's just not gonna happen.
Man. So I had my point in mind, right? But you just took me back to an earlier point, because I also remember.
Sorry about that.
No, like it was perfect, because it was like, oh yeah. Because it was that earlier point that ended up leading me to deconversion. When I first started my church was very multiracial. We were still a very small church. We only like 30 people. But like you walked in our church, if you didn't see who the pastor was, you couldn't figure out if it was a white church or a black church. Now, once you see the pastor, that's typically how you decide. Black pastor, black church,
Right.
But anyway, so once that happened, though, which meant a lot of my ministerial friends were white as well. And so we frequently preach at each other's churches and do events at each other's churches. And of course, I'm in the Deep South. And when this election happened, like I can remember two events particularly. One, me being in the car with my friends. These are my homies. And I'm hearing them talk about Barack Obama, and it's well beyond politics at this moment. It's getting very, very personal. And hey, did y'all forget I was black? Because I am like, what the? I'm a little concerned, But then there was another time I was sitting in one of my friends' churches, and this is a larger church. There are about 800 members, and they have this guest speaker who actually came in frequently. and he was talking about all of these things that were happening at the White House, getting these people riled up, saying that Barack Obama was turning the Capitol into a Muslim, or the White House
Mhm.
into a Muslim
Yeah.
stronghold, and all this stuff. And at first, I'm flabbergasted myself. I'm like, oh, the nerve, But like, I've been building up this, like, well, let's check that for a moment.
Yes.
I think I was taking
Mhm.
journalism classes at the time, and so I said, let me do some research, and I couldn't find anything to verify it. But I was horrified at how easily it was just to say something in a church. And as long as you're on the stage, everybody in here believes what you said. And like, and then of course, this wasn't the only church he had stopped at. He was on a whole tour. So he had been going around the whole nation repeating these like obvious falsehoods in these rooms where I know the people are eating it up just like they were eating it up in that room. And so that was definitely like a moment where I was like, but back then I was still a believer. And so it was just like, oh, there's just something wrong with that type of belief, But the moment I'd been an atheist for almost like 7 or 8 years, by this time, I'm living my life, and I'm reading a book by Sam Harris, A Letter to a Christian Nation. And he talks about this moment. He says, people, we have a real problem. He says, in the United States of America, if there was a comet headed to destroy the planet, like a comet headed here, and it would wipe out half of the population, there's a good segment of our population in the United States who would believe it was their Lord and Savior and would try to convince scientists to not stop it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and me reading that, as silly as that sounded, it was like, no, that's a reality. We just had this past 2 weeks, people believed that the rapture was going to happen and sold their fucking houses.
It's changed to the 8th. I don't know if you know that or not.
Yeah,
It's changed to
I did
October
not know
7th
that.
and 8th. Yeah, it's October 7th and 8th now, so look out for it.
Well, damn, God got to get his calendar right, man. Like,
that's the thing. Yeah, they said it was something about the Gregorian calendar versus the Julian calendar, whatever. But I'm sorry, go ahead, man. Yeah,
that's wild. But like that did settle into me where it was like, oh, if people can be this susceptible to misinformation, and that misinformation encourages them to act on it, then that is absolutely dangerous. This is harmful. I'd already understood that it was harmful to people who believed it themselves, which is why I no longer believed it. But once I realized that no, any bullshit can be presented at this moment, and as long as it's wrapped up in Jesus, people are going to fall for it. And we're seeing that like in real time. It could be heinous, it can be inhumane, it can be violent, it could be oppressive, it can be all of the things that we have determined are beneath us as a species. But if you wrap it up in Jesus, all of a sudden millions of people will change their minds about what is acceptable and what is not. And that shit is scary to me. That was like, okay,
agreed.
No, ooh.
Agreed.
So, which is why I am glad that more people are sharing their stories, because yes, it is nice to have people out here on the front lines. That's great. But people on the front lines don't survive if there's not other people out there who are helping make it happen, And what makes it easier for people to live their lives beyond superstition is not looking at what I do. What I do it'll give them some insight. Yeah, it'll give them some information. But is Zernul, is them seeing people like you who say, oh, this guy is not, he's not out there trying to burn the system down or, trying to rebuild another system. He is just simply living his life and supporting what matters to him along the way. And that reminds people that there are options for me, that I can support from where I am. And that's beautiful. I think that's incredible. Well, man, I don't think we got through half of my notes today, which I always like. That means we actually had conversations. I always joke with my guests, and I say, if we ever get through my notes, you know, and I only say it at the end because I don't want anybody to feel
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
But if we ever get through my notes, that means we did not have a lot to talk about, you know, like
Right.
and you know, I'm trying to make sure this has never happened before because I don't want to put anybody on the spot. I don't think it has. But if it does ever happen, if we get to the end of my notes, like we go through all of my notes in an interview, you probably won't be invited back because it's just
Yeah,
like,
no.
oh dang, we didn't get that spark, man. I need that. But today was amazing, man. Like there's some moments that I got to pick up on that you and I had not got to talk about before, so that was great. And there's some other moments like I'm gonna have to get you back on here for a Black History episode.
I love that,
Because
man. I love that.
one of the things I've wanted to do, and because this bothers me, even about the secular community, and y'all know I'm always rant about the shit that bothers me. But I absolutely despise when there is any expectation of all Black people to agree just because we Black. That absolutely bothers the fuck out of me. So
Same,
I
brother.
do want to do a Black History special next year where I can just pull some of us together who I know we have different views, and it's not there to convince each other. It's there to put on the display. This is the mosaic of humanity, okay? Black people are no different than any other people. We don't all get along. We don't all like the same things. No, we do not all eat fried chicken. I mean, there's a healthy percentage of us who do, but that's just because there's a healthy percentage of humans who eat fried chicken, all right? You know? But I think that's important. You know, I think it's so important for people to see that, because I think you and I may have had some similar of that. It's like, damn, like, okay, my Black may not be your Black, but it's me. I get it.
Yeah.
Like, damn it, I don't. People say, oh, I'm gonna take your Black card. I never got one of those. Okay, I don't know.
Wanted it.
You know what I'm saying? Does it come with benefits? Are there any miles attached to this shit?
Right.
But no, I love it. So we've got to have more conversations like that, just to destigmatize the idea of what it even means to be Black. And what I want to remind people of is what it means to be Black, what it means to be white, what it means to be Asian, what it means to be Hispanic, what it means to be anything else. Is just fucking human. That's all it is. We're all humans. Like, I always like to tell this joke. It's a little dark. It's not a joke. It's just a reality. It's a little dark, but I live in a pretty up-to-do neighborhood. It's not like gated, but it has a spot where a gate could be. You know what I'm saying? There's no security guard here, but there's some cameras and there's a place where a guard could sit. So I live in a pretty decent neighborhood. But if the cops showed up at somebody's house and there's a whole bunch of cops and they say, yeah, these people were running a sex trafficking ring, I'm not going to be the neighbor who says, oh, I would have never thought. No, I'm like, I can see it. I can see it. You know, people, you know what I mean? It's people. So like, what it really, and all that is to say is, like, humans are humans, man. Like, we're all the same. Some of us are quirky. Like, I can be aloof sometimes. That's why I tell people, please don't deify me, because I promise you, if you ever spend time with me, you're like, this motherfucker's boring as hell. I want to go home now. Damn, he don't do nothing but sit at this computer all damn day. And I'm like, y'all thought I was lying? What you thought? Like, bro, this is my bread and butter right here. This is how I eat. Like, no. But no, man. But before we get out of here today, if you had any last words that you can share with anybody out there right now who's just trying to find a way to exist as their authentic selves in this world, maybe they feel pressure to do more, maybe they feel like they're not doing enough, can you just share a little bit of encouragement with them to help them see that, hey, just being you and finding your own way is probably what's going to get you where you want to go?
Yeah, you know, I would say, especially if there's pressure to conform, being an individual to me is super important. But I know that's not easy for everybody, right? It's not easy. But if you can find ways of just being an individual in small amounts, right? And just maybe eating a certain thing that, you know, I don't know, just whatever, however you can find being yourself in small amounts that doesn't announce to the entire world, but is counter to what everybody else is doing. You know, just do those things, man. And then start finding the confidence from those small amounts, right?
Damn, that's good.
Yeah, right. And then, you know, move on to another one. Okay, well, you've accomplished whatever that is. Now you feel more confident and comfortable with that. Try something else. Find yourself, man. I believe in, I've always believed in being myself, dude. Like I said, I grew up in the hood when nobody else listening to the type of music I was listening to. I didn't care. I didn't care that people thought that I was gay. I'm not, never have been, but I don't care. Whatever, dude. Long as
Yes,
you don't
sir.
touch me, it's all good. You know, you can think whatever it is you want to think. And I've
Right.
always been that way, man. But you know, I was never under any pressure to not either. You know, so I
Yeah.
get where that could be a problem for other people. But I would say just start off in small amounts in whatever way you can. There's a guy that I used to work with who lives here in the Midwest, where, you know, basically where we are now, it's all bears. Everything is bears. The bears, the bears, the bears. But he is a Buffalo Bills fan to the T. His truck is all
Man.
painted out like that. He would cut it into his hair and stuff. He's got tattoos. This dude, it is so cool to see him. And I don't care about sports at all, but I love the fact that he's all in Bears country, but he is not afraid of being this Buffalo Bills fan at all.
Yes.
And just in your face about it, man. I absolutely love it. Maybe that ain't for you, but if you can find some little way, maybe it's just a little tiny tattoo of something, whatever, man. Find some small way of being yourself and then just build on that.
That is beautiful. Like, as soon as you started going, I was like, damn, I didn't know you was gonna go there. But that's good. Like, that's good advice. Like, and for anyone out there who's currently deconstructing, especially for those of you who live within a Christian household, and you know it would make it incredibly uncomfortable for you right now, and probably not great for your mental health to just be all out in public and stuff, but you're still trying to find a way to just be yourself. Like, this advice was gold. Find those little small ways of reclaiming your freedom that gives you that strength, you know. And I do have a friend that I remember that shortly after they deconstructed, that was one of the first things they did was got a little tattoo that they could hide, you know. But it was just something that they could do for them, you know. You know, if you got a family that makes you pray, you know, maybe develop you a little counter practice where every time after you do that, you can go to the bathroom and do your own little ritual and say, you know, whatever, you know. But it's just doing those small things to help you have your own sense of strength, even though you know you're not surrounded by the support you need yet. That's gold, because it's utilizing micro wins. It's saying, okay, I know I can't just be everything that I want to be right now, but I'm gonna strengthen myself up over the long run. I'm gonna celebrate those small moments. I'm gonna give myself that small tattoo. I'm gonna go outside and say a cuss word in the tree like this is a Key and Peele skit. I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to get my moment.
That's huge, though, man. That's huge.
It is,
because actually some of that is what helped me just totally get past any possibility of this stuff. Because that cuss word thing, like, you know, you told all the time you can't cuss and all that, and so I would just go outside and say shit. You know, and look around waiting for lightning to strike. And I know we got to go, man. But I was, like I said, I used to go to church with my uncle all the time, and the way it was built, it had a really tall steeple that started like right here. So if you stood up, it started at your shoulders and it just immediately started going up. So if you walked too close to the wall, your head would actually bump into some of the rafters. Well, this guy had gotten up to take his kid to the bathroom. She had to pee or whatever. But her shoe was untied. She's, I don't know, 3 or 4 or whatever. And so he bends down to tie her shoe. But when he stands up, he doesn't realize that he's right at one of these doggone rafters. He stood up, boom, smacked his head into one of them rafters. And he said, shit, right in the church. And I was like, but I mean, he didn't say it really loud because the music was going on at the time. But I was watching and I heard it. And I saw him. I was like, here we go. This dude about to drop dead right now.
Nothing God's about to get him.
Nothing happened. I don't know what happened to him for the rest of his life. But in that moment, nothing happened. And I was like, man, this is awesome crap, dude. This is all.
Now, see, that's a whole conversation worth having. And you're right, we got to go. But damn it, that's a whole fucking conversation worth having. Because, like, I remember, like, I grew up in those little churches, little black Baptist churches. And so the pulpit is supposed to be really holy. Women can't be up there. Kids can't be up there. And they would say stuff like, if you're a kid and if you're playing too close to this, if your heart isn't right, if you're by this, God will strike you down. They say if you run across that thing, God will strike you down. Like, which in hindsight, you just have to wonder, like, how sick is that to tell kids that? Like, what the hell? Like, why would you serve a God that would strike your kids down for
right?
But
for this,
you know, like, what? But I remember watching people, you know, like, especially when no service is going on, like they got little choir rehearsal going on and the kids just running through it, like ain't like God ain't getting nobody. Maybe God only gets them when he on duty. Maybe God is only on duty on Sundays. But you know, you start watching it and eventually you realize, like, these folks lying just about everything. And you either go to the point that they're lying or they're stupid, and neither one is a good place to feel. You
No.
know, you
No. Yeah.
and it was a little
Yeah.
mix of both for me. Some of them I was like, "Hey, you lying." I was
Yeah.
like, "I think you actually believe this. I think
Mhm.
you've never stepped on one of these things because you're terrified." And I did meet people like that. Like, no, I'm never stepping up there. I don't want God to kill me. And I'm like,
Mhm. Mhm.
that's a weird relationship to have with somebody. Just imagining that in real time. And that just goes back to the danger we both kind of speak of. Those are the things that people don't realize. Those are the beliefs you're normalizing in a world
Mhm.
where we're not holding religion accountable. You're normalizing this belief that somebody who created you and loves you can kill you for the smallest infractions.
Right.
And you're creating a society where it's okay to share these type of stories with your children. And then
Mhm.
you wonder, like, why we might have a mass violence problem in this country. You know what I'm
Indeed.
saying?
Indeed.
Ugh. All right, damn, that could have been a great way to end it, like Neil deGrasse Tyson. But no, man, this has been excellent. I so appreciate you for being here with me today.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
man. Thank you. Thank you. I do have Zernul's link in the description. So if y'all want to learn more about the work that he does, please follow him there. You're going to be seeing more from him. And then obviously he did our promo for Rise, and I'm going to play that again. So make sure you're sticking around to watch that so you can actually see his work firsthand. And I think that's all I got for now, man. We love
I
y'all.
appreciate you,
Until
brother.
next time, keep rising, man. I love you. Have a wonderful day, man. Y'all keep doing the dang thing. I love y'all. Until next time, keep rising and be the bridge. Let me make sure I click the right video thing, because this one I couldn't get. Yeah, there we go. Now, be the bridge. When I think about what community is, when I think about what the church was for many people, I think about community as a service. I know so many people right now whose passion was media, and if it weren't for their church, they wouldn't be able to pursue that passion. I know so many people whose passion is music, and if it weren't for their church, they wouldn't have a place to practice that passion. I know people whose passion is communication and finding ways to inspire and motivate other people. And if it weren't for their churches,
Take another shot at me.
church shouldn't be the only place that meets those needs. It shouldn't be the only place that nurtures our gifts, platforms our voices, and empowers our living. That's why Bridge City Global is building community and creating the space to help you keep rising. Join us October 25th or the 26th in Venice or San Diego, your choice. Our local Bridge City community is having their initial liftoff weekend. And as a way of celebrating, we're hosting our very first Rise event. This is for you. We're about to shed the weight of limiting beliefs and open ourselves to clarity, purpose, and possibility. Through powerful voices and intentional community, you'll not only rediscover your own strength, but also the belonging that comes when we choose to rise side by side. And for those interested in being a part of this global community, go ahead and tap in now, and you may get an invite to our Friday evening and Sunday morning activities while you're in Cali. Don't miss this moment. Add Liftoff Weekend to your calendar and be ready to rise. Register now.
Take another